Hello. Sweet Jesus, this is going well. I finally found the fortitude to move forward, and here we are. Swinging arm is off. I'm now ready to make some orders to start constructing the new one, and I think I can do this without all the rest of the kit from the engineering shop. Wow, Christmas Day has passed. It's now Monday. Everything is now starting to open up again. That's the only part of Christmas I don't like, when everything shuts and you can't get on. Anyway, a little bit of an update. Swing arm is now off, as you know. I've popped out the bearings each side. Well, I've done one side, I ain't done the other side. Well, it started. I really shouldn't be showing you this, because this is actually quite bloody shameful, really, when you think about it. But, right, how far we got with this? That bench was clear. This one is now clear-ish. Need to go through that box. I need to move all that lot now. I need to get that put back over there properly. Okay, we're very close to getting this swing arm started. Second shelf has gone up. I've temporarily put stuff on there. All of this is going to be emptied out, all of it, because I've got to go through it bit by bit. That toolbox is going on the wall over there. The lathe has been shifted over here. Got to clear all this up. Both of these drawers are knackered, so I've had to empty them out a bit. The toolbox is over there. So yeah, we've got to go through everything now, start sorting out. Well, look what we woke up to. Blooming snow. Hate the stuff. Dog's first time in snow ever. He's never seen it before. He doesn't really know what to do with it. Do you, Diesel? It's like, it is gold. Bit worrying actually, because he's got those bad legs and this is slippery old stuff, so I've got to keep a very close eye on him. My last dog, as soon as the snow hit the ground, he'd be bouncing and running up and down, getting dead excited, but he hasn't quite figured it out yet. Anyway, this has put a small, tiny complication in the works. Getting that. All that lot. Got to go back in those Halford tubs there. We've just got to go through that one. A couple down there to go through. I ain't got a clue where all this lot's going. This is like another shed on its own, really. And all that needs sorting out. So that's just going to... I don't need to use anything up here. So we'll concentrate on our efforts down here. So I've just got a few... Right. Where are we? There we go. So that's 3 grinders fixed. That one I did today. New bearing and new brushes. That one, new brushes and a new lead. As you can see, lead. And somewhere around here is another one, which I can't find. Oh, I wished I recorded this though. I got a Milwaukee grinder, which I really don't like taking to the scrapyard because I left it there once before. So this was a 20 amp hour battery. 20 minutes if you were lucky is all you could get out of that. And I have an old Stanley Fatmax drill that packed up, and I managed to crack open the battery, crack open the Fatmax battery, and there's one here wrapped up, which is still in good order. And managed to solder a whole load of wires between 2 batteries. So I took the circuit board out of the second battery, so we just got batteries in the battery carrier, and then we super glued the case, the actual Fatmax case, to the base of this one, because I can't find any of these LXC batteries. I just can't find them. And we've now managed to get, I'm hoping, a 4 amp hour battery. Using 2 amp hour batteries, if that's how it works, and it probably doesn't, but I just thought I'd mention it anyway. Wished I recorded that now. So, progress on the trike. Actually, we've just got a little bit more tidying to do. I've got those to put into those have got to go somewhere. I've got to clear the bench, and then we're ready to start. And the progress of it so far is nothing has happened. Been down Machine Mart today because I need to get my sandblaster back up and running, and it's not in the best of condition, this cabinet, because when the roof caved in, water got in there, but I had to replace the gun. 20 quid. I had a chuff with that. But I've got to cut a hole out, and I've got to put a piece of glass, which I've got up here, I think. Might be too big for the job. We've got some sheets up there. I think there's 2 sheets in here as well. So that probably would be the better one. So we'll cut a hole out, we'll glue that down. We can still see in there then. So we've got that to do. Been down to a bearing centre today because, to my error, when I was working out what I needed for these, I was about to punch that one out at 3 in the morning and realised, oh dear, it's not the same. It's got a roller bearing in there, where this had twin ball bearings in there. So I had 2 of these made up for them. So this morning I had to go down and get 2 new bearings for the other side, and then I found that the spacer that came out of that one was not the right size. I had to go back to the engineering shop. 10 quid later he's made me another spacer. So we are ready. We can now clean up the steel that I'm going to cut. I've bought, I was going to get a broaching bit, but I ain't got the money for that, so I ended up with a hole saw instead. I don't know how much it is, 60mm. I'm hoping it will cut relatively square, but you know what those things are like, they're terrible at the best of times, so that's going to be a bit of a hit and miss. So we'll cut the holes first, and if it's worked then great, but if it hasn't then we'll have to take it back to the engineering shop, and he said if the swing arms are small enough, so I'm making a half swing arm about that, he said he'll put it in his 4-jaw chuck and he'll cut the hole out on the lathe for me exactly how it needs to be. Okay, hole saw and mag drill, which I was a bit nervous about because I wasn't actually sure if the mag drill would be able to do it with the hole saw instead of a broach and cut 'em bit, because with the hole saws, as you get to the end, they tend to grip and then they strip the teeth, and I thought to myself, I can see me going through 2 hole saws to do this one job, but it worked out okay in the end. What with 2 bearings, hole saw, mandrel, that little lot came in at around 50 notes, so I'd imagine the hole saw was probably about 15 quid against the 60 quid. Somebody said to me with broaching bits it usually works out £1 per millimetre size of the hole you want to cut. If you go above that price you're paying over the odds. There you go, there's one. That's the inside edge, so the bearing will be poked in through there, and then you've got that little bit there that sits on the outside edge, so it sits against the frame. This one I've now got to do, and I've done the best I can with it. Yeah, not the greatest, but it'll work. And I had to weld an extra piece of steel around the outside because it wasn't quite big enough, but it's the bolt size is the bolt size, and I want to reuse this. I don't have it strong enough, but I want to reuse it all the same. It's not hollow, so that's what I done. And I'm not 100% sure at this point how square they're going to be. I think that one's moved. That was the first one as well. I'm not sure at the moment. Right, so this is the original swing arm, right? And you'll note the cutaways here. There's a reason I'm showing you that. Now, it took me all day to get this swing arm made. It's on, but it's been really difficult. I'd say out of all of them, because I've had to make this from scratch, this has probably been the hardest so far conversion that I've ever done so far. So yeah, it's square, but the problem I had was that stupid hole saw. I should have bought a broaching cutter piece. The hole saw cut the holes out a little bit on the wonky side, so when I welded the cups in, of which I had to machine that one down because it was hitting, it wasn't allowing these to be straight. Well, as it happens, everything is perfect. So all I've got left to do now is to get the suspension piece sorted out underneath, and I've got to cut out some holes here or slope that. I don't know which at the moment. I may very well, looking at where it is, I might just cut along that middle line there across, or get an angle and then go down to give me a bit more clearance for some of the bigger bumps, but we'll see where we end up. So yeah, this is it for the moment. I'm gonna put some sandblasting cabinet in a few days time and go with it then, but first things first, I think we'll make the alterations to that plate, and now we're going to have a hunt for some eyelets for that, because I've got to put 2 brackets underneath for this to sit the way it's meant to, and I can't remember. I think it's meant to be there, dead level with the rest of the machine. But yeah, this has been a right nightmare. Oh God, my knees hurt like hell. So this is what I've done so far, really. Right, another day. I ain't done much today. All I've done is gone back down the engineering shop. I had to pick up the components that makes that part of my new swing arm, and here we are, 40 quid later. That will get welded to the underside thus, but instead of doing what they did on the Vegas, which is put a horseshoe clip that end with a smaller diameter hole that end to stop the pin from falling out, I've opted for having a hole drilled and a slit put in, and acting like a cotter pin on a push bike. So you run a bolt through there and you clamp, and that should hold it in. As it was pointed out to me, this is not going in aluminium, so there's a very high chance of rust eating away at that. And he said, you may not get that out. And I said, well, got to think of something, haven't we? And we came up with that simple design. I have no problem in that working. There we go. That's the first half of the swing arm. Right, before putting the suspension pin in, that swing arm did have full free rotation. Now that the pin is in, it's absolutely solid. Now, obviously being a monoshock, they are extremely hard springs. So how well this is going to work at this point, I could not say. But as I said before, the swing arm had absolute 100% free movement, and that little blighter, which has caused me so much pain and trouble, is now on. It's sandblasted. So the next stage, instead, because that was a bit of a pain to get on there, right? So I think what I'm going to do this time, just for now at least, I might weld some plates across the top, across the bottom, top, bottom, and I might slot the next part in, drill through, put some tube inside, and then run a bolt there and a bolt there, and then do the same through there and the same through there. That way I can take that back piece off, and that means also I can build it on the bench as well, which will make my life a lot easier. But the next challenge I've got now is I've got to get that, I believe I'm going to have to get that exhaust off, because one way or the other it is in my way. Okay, so swing arm on. Got a lot more work to do as yet, so I think it's time we had a tiny bit of a clean up in here at least. That's cleaner. Took all the grease off that with the brush. That's a lot cleaner than it was before. I mean, it hoovered that down reasonably well for what it is. the bench is clear, some of the floor is clear, all the muck, the loose dirt in there, it picked it up, but didn't pick up any of the bigger stuff, which I'm glad about actually. It even hoovered up some of the bloody stones from this crumbling concrete. So yeah, is it worthy of a full-on review? And I'll do me gutters with it, because on the house I've got a lot of moss on the front, mainly growing. Not so bad on that side because the sun hits it, but on the other side, up on that roof line on that corner there, and over there is, where are we? There, we've got a lot. Did I just point to the window? Sorry, there. Up there on the front is moss growing, so it's all got to be cleared out. Anyway, next week, or on the next video, so to speak, we are going to chop this in half now. We should get back the rest of the stuff that I need, but in order to fit it back into here, I've got to cut all of that metal off, all of that out there, that unit's got to come out, and I've got to clean it all up. We've also got to find a way of sealing, and I don't know how I'm doing that at the moment, but we've got to seal that up so as I can put oil in the actual differential, which is going to get encased with a piece of tube steel. We've also got in the shed a motorcycle sprocket that's got to go on the left side, as well as the belt drive that has to go on the right hand side. Yeah, I know. What am I up to? Well, the idea in principle is quite simple, but in practice it's going to be near on impossible. But in there I've got two gearboxes. I've got a 3-to-1 ratio and a 2-to-1 ratio. The 2-to-1 I'm keeping, I don't want to touch that. The 3-to-1 is going to need new bearings. But that gearbox with an electric motor attached to it somehow, again that might be sprockets and whatnot, has got to be bolted onto the swing arm somewhere. Because down here, well, I'd say about there actually, is where the sprocket will sit, and I need to find a way of housing a motor. So the gearbox might be there, the motor might be in front of it, so it'll be linked that way. I don't know at the moment. Chinese speed controller. Somebody suggested a caravan mover, but I don't think that's going to work, because this thing has got a free spool, you see. Got that little winch over there. I could attach that winch to it. That would move it. But again, it's got a free spool, so I've got no choice. That gearbox has got to go on. It has a built-in clutch, and that's good enough for this. It will be free spooling. When I'm riding along the road, this will be free spooling on the back. Chain will be moving, but that will be free spooling. When I pull up and I want to reverse, or I go down a lane and I've got some grumpy person in the car that won't move, and I've got to reverse all the way back down the road, I put this into neutral, I keep the engine ticking over, and then I pull another lever which will engage the gearbox, like a little boat lever or something down here. And then I can reverse all the way back down the road again, because the principle is winch motor or hydraulic pump motor. The hydraulic pump motor is a very fast revving motor, so it might not be suitable for this. The winch motor, because it's got epicyclic gears in it, might be too slow, and I might be crawling back like a bloody tortoise, but that'll be on their fault for making me reverse when they're more than capable of doing it. So yeah, I may put on here on the quiet a little sticker saying polite notice, no reverse, do not touch. And the other thing I want to make for this is I want to make up a leather spiked saddle cover, so when I'm parked up somewhere I don't get the random idiot that decides to jump on this thing and pose for photos, because that is the one thing about a trike you tend to get. Anyway, so next week, yeah, we will make a start if we get that part back, but that may have to go back for the motorcycle sprocket. Oh, we also show you the motorcycle sprocket, won't I? There was something else. Where are we, baby? There we are. So yeah, I've got all of this lot that's got to be mounted. We've got a chain from China. Sprocket, I can't remember what the hell that came off. Nothing particularly special. I didn't want anything. I wasn't looking for Japanese, I just wanted a sprocket. So we've got to have a cup made up that goes on the back of that gear differential, and then I've got to have 4 holes, and then that can be bolted on, and then I've got to build a chain guard around this. This one, I don't know how it's going to happen yet. That has got to be mated to the end of the gearbox, but on the end of the gearbox is a regular prop shaft fitting. the boxes are in bits at the moment. There you go. So we've got that to contend with, so I might hand that over to the engineer and get him to machine it so as we can drop that in. If he makes it an oversized hole, I can then get a file and file slots in it so as it will fit. As long as the internal is smack on, it won't really matter too much. And we've got 2 bolting points, and as I said, there's no strain on here. I don't even need to use these teeth, these inner teeth, don't need to use them. I can rely on them alone to hold that all on. That's not going to jam up unless you accidentally knock the lever, and that lever might be an electronic one that's locked when I'm in first gear, so it can't be activated. You see what I'm saying? Has to be in neutral. The neutral light has to be on. The neutral light going on can activate a relay that then will allow the actuator to move forwards or backwards, and I've got some actuators that will do that if there's enough reach in them. I don't know. So yeah, it'll be a 3-button stage actuator. First button first, second button reverse, third button neutral. So if I can somehow find a way of mapping it so it works on all 3 settings, if not I'll just have to use a normal electric window style switch, and I'll just have to keep an eye on it and wait for it to click into gear and out of gear. You don't want, with those gearboxes, you don't want the clutches, you don't want it half in and half out of gear, because it wrecks the clutches, absolutely wrecks them, and not cheap. I think I will do a review on that Hoover. It won't be nothing special. I think I'll just do a quick one doing the guttering. I might put the drone up. I did speak to my son about operating that. I've got them on charge at the moment, so we might send the drone up while I hoover out the gutters and give you a demonstration of what that can do, and then I'll reuse the footage on the review as well at the end of that, so everybody can see what it's capable of picking up. It's not too bad. Competitively, I think it's a little bit better than that one. That one cost, I think that cost 60 quid, that Hoover. I can't remember. I didn't pay a lot for it. It's a little bit better than that one. Has more capacity than that one, and that also has an M-Class filter system in that as well, so it's something to do with dust. You'll have to look it up because I can't be asked. Right, moving on. Oh, and thank you for viewing, thank you for pressing all the like buttons. You know how the routine. I fully appreciate it. And thank you for clicking all the like buttons, and we'll see you next time round. Thank you guys, and I look forward to the comments on this next piece.